In this podcast episode, Ryan Graves, a former U.S. Navy fighter pilot and the first active duty military pilot to testify before Congress about unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, shares his firsthand experiences and insights into the increasing UAP sightings over U.S. military controlled airspace. The conversation delves into the nature of these encounters, advancements in radar technology, the culture and stigma around reporting such phenomena within the military, safety concerns, and the ongoing government efforts toward disclosure. Graves also discusses the formation of Americans for Safe Aerospace, an organization dedicated to safely investigating and sharing information about UAPs, as well as the challenges of distinguishing factual evidence amidst misinformation and speculation. Ryan Graves describes how the detection of UAPs began during his time as a Navy fighter pilot, specifically after the Navy upgraded from mechanically scanned APG-73 radars to the much more advanced APG-79 active electronically scanned array systems. This new technology drastically increased radar capabilities, scanning speed, resolution, and multi-platform data sharing, enabling pilots to detect smaller and previously unnoticed objects. In the early stages, these objects appeared stationary in high wind conditions or moving at unusual speeds, sometimes supersonic, without any recognizable flight patterns or behaviors. Initially, some pilots, including Graves, believed these detections were radar glitches or sensor errors, but as multiple sensor systems, including infrared and electronic warfare equipment, corroborated their existence, it became clear that these objects were real physical presences in controlled airspace. Despite high-quality sensor data, pilots often found themselves unable to visually identify the objects they were tracking. Graves recalls missions where jets would approach as close as 200 knots and descend near these phenomena, yet see nothing with their naked eyes, even when sensors confirmed an object's presence. This disconnect created a confusing and unsettling situation for the pilots. The psychological experience was marked by professional regulation, but accompanied by unease, especially after a particularly alarming incident where one of these objects flew within 50 feet between two Navy aircraft in formation, a near miss constituting a safety of flight hazard. What was more concerning was the revelation that multiple such near misses had occurred over previous weeks, all unreported officially due to stigma and uncertainty. This collective silence underscored systemic challenges in addressing UAPs within military aviation. Graves explains that these incidents were passed along the military chain of command and reached senior Navy officials, including admirals, who reacted with visible concern. One admiral, after briefly viewing radar and infrared footage of UAPs, sent urgent messages to high-level commands warning of safety risks during ongoing important naval exercises, including at-sea flight training off the East Coast. Despite this awareness, pilots reported little to no official follow-up or comprehensive strategy to handle these encounters. Instead, a basic notice to airmen, NOTAM, was issued cautioning pilots about unknown objects, which amounted to minimal operational change or safety protocols. The matter was largely ignored or suppressed despite ongoing incidents, suggesting a mixture of bureaucratic inertia, stigma, and perhaps a lack of preparedness to address the scale of the phenomenon. Ryan Graves details various physical characteristics and flight behaviors observed, highlighting the abnormality of these UAPs. They have exhibited diverse shapes, including metallic spheres, cubes inside transparent spheres, elongated forms, and black triangles with glowing lights. Some display remarkable transmedium capabilities, apparently moving seamlessly between air, water, and space environments, which defies known human technology. Maneuvers include hovering in strong winds without drift, accelerating to hypersonic speeds near Mach 8 or 9, making instantaneous stops, rapid directional changes surpassing known turn radius physics, and operating in formations with coordinated movements such as 180-degree turns executed in complex V patterns. Graves stresses that these capabilities exceed anything known in U.S., Chinese, or Russian aerospace technology, making it unlikely the objects represent secret military programs or adversarial advanced drones, especially given their consistent exposure over well-monitored and strategically sensitive controlled airspace. While initially some pilots speculated these phenomena could be advanced experimental U.S. or foreign military technologies, Graves expresses skepticism. He reasons that exposing such assets so openly and repeatedly over international waters with near misses would be too reckless and strategically hazardous if the technology belonged to any nation-state, especially when these objects are vulnerable to interception or observation. Graves also considers intelligence gathering theories from rival nations, but finds them implausible from a risk-reward perspective. Equally, he discusses the speculative notion of extraterrestrial origins, but refrains from drawing conclusions, highlighting the need for more data and cautioning against unfounded assumptions. The open question of what these objects are and their intent remains unresolved, underpinning the rationale for increased transparency and investigation. Graves reflects on the cultural stigma that has historically suppressed reports of UAP encounters within the military and aviation communities. Pilots feared ridicule, career repercussions, or being dismissed as unreliable, leading to widespread underreporting and silence even after dangerous near misses. However, since about 2017, a notable shift occurred with the reduction of stigma, that partly driven by official announcements acknowledging the phenomenon and by whistleblower disclosures. This shift encouraged more pilots, including commercial airline crews, to report sightings. Nonetheless, aviation safety remains compromised, according to Graves, because pilots operate under uncertainty and risk in UAP-persistent environments. He warns of normalizing deviance, a safety concept where dangerous anomalies are overlooked until a catastrophe occurs, citing parallels like the Challenger disaster. The presence of UAPs near aircraft can trigger pilot distractions, unexpected reactions, or accidents, even apart from direct physical collisions, posing a growing safety concern. Graves reveals that UAP sightings are not limited to military fighter jet operations, but also occur near commercial airliners, sometimes with objects lingering for extended periods by the wings or in close formation. These incidents happen regularly, reportedly averaging several encounters per day across U.S. airspace. Sightings also cluster near sensitive sites such as nuclear facilities and missile launch areas. While the reasons behind this pattern remain speculative, Graves acknowledges a historical and ongoing interest of these objects in nuclear technology and strategic military assets, which raises further questions about their motives or capabilities. Graves recounts multiple pilot testimonies involving sightings at cruising altitudes as well as near airports during landing approaches, featuring diverse craft shapes and behaviors that resist conventional explanation. The timing of the episode coincides with a new wave of government disclosures, including the Department of the Navy releasing previously classified UAP evidence from NASA, the Pentagon, the FBI, and other agencies. Graves describes this as a significant step toward broader transparency, but emphasizes that the released material represents only early and lower quality data, with more compelling evidence yet to come. Congressional involvement and the creation of specialized offices, such as the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office and FBI UAP working groups, signal institutional recognition of the phenomenon. Graves highlights ongoing efforts to integrate information sharing across disparate government agencies, ending previous data silos, and stresses that further incremental disclosures are expected over time. Moved by his military experiences and ongoing reports from pilots, Graves founded Americans for Safe Aerospace, a nonprofit organization dedicated to encouraging safe and stigma-free reporting of UAP encounters and facilitating evidence-based research. The organization builds connections among military personnel, Congress, airlines, and other stakeholders to aggregate real UAP data and promote rigorous analysis. Graves discusses plans to launch a dedicated podcast featuring first-hand accounts from pilots and controllers, aiming to increase public understanding and governmental accountability. The group is developing technology capable of validating reports by correlating sensor data, satellite observations, military test ranges, and air traffic information to establish robust evidence packages. Graves addresses the challenges posed by misinformation, disinformation, and fabricated content proliferating on social media and the internet, which complicate public discourse about UAPs. The phenomenon has attracted a wide range of fringe theories and conspiracy narratives that often distract from fact-based inquiry. To combat this, Graves advocates for transparency, scientific rigor, and responsible communication while acknowledging the messy information environment surrounding UAPs. He encourages the public to maintain open curiosity, balanced by critical thinking, and underlines the need for verified data to separate signal from noise. Graves shares personal reflections on the emotional impact of his experiences and decision to come forward publicly, revealing the anxiety and professional risks involved. He speaks candidly about the regulatory training that helped him maintain composure when confronting unexplained and potentially hazardous phenomena in the cockpit. Ultimately, his focus remains on addressing ongoing safety risks faced by pilots and moving toward fuller understanding rather than on speculation or sensationalism. He views the current disclosure phase as a critical juncture in which more information must be gathered and responsibly shared to mitigate risks and advance aerospace safety for all. The hosts comment on how Graves's measured and professional account contrasts with more sensational or spiritual narratives often linked with UFO phenomena. They discuss how reports of strange aerial objects echo historical sightings stretching back decades or even centuries, suggesting a persistent pattern that transcends modern technology. The episode touches on how the gradual reduction of stigma around UAPs is enabling more credible voices like Graves to surface, altering public and governmental conversations. They also highlight the powerful psychological effects such encounters could have on civilians untrained to manage extraordinary and unexplained events, underscoring the importance of open and non-judgmental dialogue going forward.